Hey, I'm your host, Mari Wagner, and you're listening to the Ever Be podcast, where faith meets lifestyle. I'm so excited you're here. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime follower, I know there's something here for you. Pull up a chair and listen in for insightful, real-life conversations and actionable steps on how to claim the full life God created you for. If you're a woman desiring to live a Christ-centered life in today's modern world, then this is for you. Welcome to Ever Be. Welcome back to Ever Be, everybody. Today is a really exciting day. We have such amazing guests on the podcast today, and we're all in person, which is crazy. We've been waiting for this day a long time. So today, I've got some of my most special friends on the podcast, friends that I met online, and we're in real life now, which is so exciting. So let's start off with some introductions so everybody can know who's on the pod today.
Should we start with Melissa? Because
I was thinking Melissa. Let's start with Melissa. Melissa.
At Melissa, great to Blana.
Let's
Great
try
to Peter, but even more so. I mean, she's a Catholic family therapist, marriage and family therapist. She has a lot of wonderful things on the gram. She has a lot of amazing insight into how to talk to your husband and have intimacy with him in postpartum seasons or hard journey. A lot of value in the regards to what her knowledge is when it comes to therapy.
Yes. She's also a Creighton practitioner, and she actually taught Trey and I how to chart NFP. We are her student, one of my earliest. Loki, her best student.
Trey was a model fiance learning to chart.
He was excited about it. He was committed. So she also serves women and couples in that way, and teaching them about their fertility, specifically the Creighton method, and helping people just have confidence in learning about their cycles, which is so important for young couples to learn about once they get married.
Okay, but more importantly, in our friendship, who is Melissa? That's who she is on Instagram, and then even on married family. Mm-hmm. But in our friendship, I feel like she low-key still plays the therapist.
The same thing, and I love it. I'm we need it.
We text daily. And it helps us navigate I feel so integrated with that.
I just feel like Melissa affirms our feelings and emotions when we have them, but then also is able to provide insight when maybe we're not seeing a side of something, where she's well, maybe if we look at it this way, we can see this situation. And I'm yes, you're right.
It's validating.
Well, it is.
If any of us ever beat ourselves up, we say oh, I feel so stupid about this, or I don't know how to deal with this, and I feel like I'm not doing it right. She shines light on something and is first of all, don't talk about yourself like that.
Yes.
But really, language is huge.
Yeah.
The grounds are. Thank you, guys. Such a great introduction. Melissa was nice and rude. Why it made sense to start with Melissa.
Yeah. You said the initial text to all of us to meet monthly, and we've been meeting monthly for years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Invitation. So this is a fruit.
Yeah. And I love the way it's developed from digital friendship to daily messages and in real life. Mm-hmm. We've all met individually, and the first time we're all together.
I know. And it's exciting because this has been a long time coming. We tried last year to get the girls' trip out of the group chat, and then things fell through and we didn't make it. And then finally, Claire made it to Melissa's house. And then Meg and I had to bail. Okay, what about Claire?
Oh.
No, go down the line. Okay. I mean,
everyone knows it's your podcast.
True. Everybody knows that.
You are in the friendship. Yeah, especially.
Yes. Okay.
You are the creative queen
who inspires the inspiration and
and motivates her, especially with our business goal. And anytime we get off a call, I feel on fire to set the world ablaze. Catherine, your word.
Yeah.
Times a million. You do.
Thank you.
The inspiration, to have the vision and then execute it with excellence. With everything that you do, to do it exactly the way you've envisioned it, and not
do it halfway, not just talk about the dream, make the dream come to life, which is so inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
For sure. 100%.
Anytime I feel like any of us are in like some slump or just like burnout even, it's like we get on a call or like we text in the group chat and Mari's like, well, I haven't thought about that. Like the dreamer, but then the action to the steps and like how this is how I've done it. This is what I've seen success with. Like this is what you could maybe do. I think this would be great for you. She's just really good at it. Like you have a knack for that really well.
Thank you.
Yeah. With what you've learned, and you are excited to see people excel and
A mentor in all that you've learned to pass on.
Thanks. Yeah. That resonates for sure. Thanks, guys.
You know?
Meg's 15553.
Guys, we were so yes. All of us like connected through social media, but most of them were like actively doing the social media thing.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of showing up and just
Dancing in the kitchen.
and dancing in my kitchen. And I just wasn't really meant to be here, but somehow
Like your account literally was how all of us used our accounts, like growing up, like just like sharing things. But then you also, I feel like you just shared a little bit more on your account than like the average person, and people started following you. And so that following just came
And then
super
it's
naturally.
so-
You weren't trying to like have a platform.
and then I was like, how am I here? So
Yeah.
you were so authentic.
Yes.
And
Oh,
what you do, and that's
thank
such a
you.
I love that. And that comes offline too.
Yeah.
You're so authentic in your friendships. You
Yes.
are who you are completely.
Yeah.
And I love that.
And her handle is actually not Meg's 1553
It
anymore.
was.
It used to be.
The archive.
Now it's Meg's __ well.
Definitely.
2_. Yes. And she talks about motherhood. She's a home birth enthusiast and a photographer.
True.
Very talented photographer.
And all things health and wellness.
Yep.
And living a holistic lifestyle
Yep.
in a way that's attainable for
Yep.
anyone, which I think
Yeah.
is really important.
A very stress-free, holistic approach to life.
It's like
That's
when you're living a busy life and you have little kids and there's a lot going on, this is still something that you can live. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
In the friend group, I feel like you are like the girl's girl. And I love it so much. Like I feel like
joy.
yeah, like you bring like
The
a
joy.
fun, like joyful energy to the group.
Much as I feel like I'm like, yeah, I did that. That was me in college. But I think since becoming a mom, I'm like, I don't know how to.
No, that's still you. That's still you. And you have like even just the past like 24 hours less than that we've been together so far in this trip. You reminded me of some of my friends in college that were just like fun, silly girls, laughing. Like you just like laugh, and it makes me laugh and it makes me happy. I'm like, oh, like good. Yeah. So, and I feel like you're the girls' girl that just like like there's no topic that's like not touched. Yeah. It's like you can talk about anything with anybody, and every friend group needs that.
And the word lightheartedness comes to mind, which I think is interesting because you are going through heavy things,
Right.
but you're still able to live in joy
Yes.
and like have a lightheartedness about you and bring that to the friend
Wow.
group.
Perfect. Thanks. That
Yeah.
was really well. Okay.
Claire is a certified etiquette instructor, and she is excellent at teaching etiquette in a way that is applicable to our daily life.
Yes.
Which I think is a different approach. Like, I would have thought of etiquette before. I would have thought like,
I would have never thought of that.
that has no
Like,
nothing to do with
Yeah. But I actually do learn so much from
So
you.
much.
So many like little things that are applicable that some people might think like, oh, we don't need that in our culture. But it's like, actually, we do.
Yeah.
And actually, like, we stand out so much when you do take those little things into consideration. I think there's so much about like living with intentionality that comes with etiquette. And one thing I love that you share about is that marriage of etiquette and virtue. And you're not just doing it for the show. You're not just teaching these things because, oh, you'll just look better. But because at the heart of it all, there's a goodness to it.
Idea of the other human person that you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like what's really cool about that is before the flux of etiquette in your life, I feel like that was still very much who you were. Like, and just made sense that person.
Yeah.
Because if I had never gone to Claire's house and been hosted by them, I would never know the extent to which you could love a host. Like, it's unreal. Like the fresh flowers in the guest bathroom.
Yeah.
And like with steak dinners, I was like, oh, geez, okay. So now my bar, I think the thing about all of us and all of you in my life is like the bar has been raised. Everybody showing me how to be better in different areas of my life that I just don't consider. Not because I'm just like lazy, but just I just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And so everyone feels that in really well. Just very graceful.
Thank you.
In the friend group, I feel like you're an idea girl.
The dreamer.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like you bring so many like exciting, fresh ideas and thoughts to the table. And you kind of like get us excited and kind of like get our creative juices flowing.
You always have the next idea.
Yes.
Like this. And you get so excited.
Yes, so
passionate
excited
for every idea. Yeah.
I was gonna say energy, which I feel
Yes. Energy.
Like, wow.
just you get enthusiastic with us and for us, and you're just like, let's go. And it's not that it's outside of your character, but when you get that way, we're like, let's go.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
I feel like there's an encourager in you that is so restorative for like women in general, but like a women dynamic friend group. Because there is never a sense of competition coming from you, and there's never a sense of like envy either. Like when anybody shares a win, you genuinely are so happy for them. And you genuinely share that, and you encourage and you love on them and you celebrate them, and you're like, you deserve it. You did so good. Go celebrate. Like, you know, all these beautiful
And
affirmations.
you always remind us that you should stop and celebrate.
Yes, always. And I'm always like, oh,
Yeah, it should.
yeah, I should.
Keeps telling us that we just keep not doing it.
For like,
Nice to know that someone else is like affirming the work we've done.
the group. Yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about like how our group started? Like, how are we all friends? Like the origin story.
Okay, I need to know in the comments of this. Do you comment on podcasts or do we know? I don't know. Tell if you know the word lore or not. That's all I think.
Because we did not know. We did not know the word for it.
Which I am. But
They thought it was
Lore.
from Star Wars.
which it might be.
Here we are.
The lore origin story.
So the origin story
Of the group.
So there's like a pre-origin story and then like a true origin story, right? We all started on social media around 2018. 2018 was 7 years ago. We just started sharing like faith and family life and our own journey with the Lord.
Yep.
And so we all connected during that time and our own friendships began with each other. And then in 2020, when everything shut down in COVID, I was missing the fellowship and friendship of my office team
Yeah.
and working with people and chatting with people and talking business and all of these things. And so I reached out to all of you, like, let's meet monthly and talk about, even though we're doing very different businesses, but we're also all using social media for our businesses. So let's just support each other and have fun and brainstorm and work through obstacles. And it's developed. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's developed so much since then.
Which is crazy.
It's
that
funny
it's
too,
been so long.
because when explaining it to people, I literally say I use the word coworker because I'm like, otherwise you feel
Same.
so alone and like no one else knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
No one else knows even like the lingo for things. And so I'm like, kind of like I get on a monthly call with my
Yeah. Yeah.
even though we're all doing our separate things that aren't actually related, we're all doing
We're on the same space.
work in that area. Yeah. So it's very helpful.
And it's been beautiful to see that develop to daily texts, daily chat, a true virtuous friendship.
About more than social media.
Yeah.
Everything.
I was sharing with a friend recently about, you know, our lore story and how it basically, like, how it has progressed and how it was like, okay, we're going to support each other on social media and just like share goals and keep us accountable, to we're actually going to like push ourselves in those goals to like grow in education, to grow in our skills, to better our craft, to do our jobs better and encourage each other in that way, to then catching up on life and like spending basically the first 45 minutes of calls just like catching up on like, how is everybody doing? Yeah, like if someone's having a bad time, like letting them have a good cry.
It was the time we hopped on
Where we-
we
Oh,
forgot the topic that we were even doing because everybody had a sob story that needed to get in that month
Yeah.
to happen.
Yes. And it just progressed into this like real virtuous friendship where like we don't just care about each other's businesses and others like social media like goals, but we actually care about each other as friends. We really care about each other's families, about each other's marriages,
Health journey.
health journeys,
Like we're
everything.
all of us.
Yeah.
What was the stat you showed the other day when we were out
Yeah.
at night with the 7 years?
Yes, I've seen that on social media a couple times, and it says like if you have a friendship for longer than 7 years, then that's like where you need to get to have a friend for life.
Right.
Which this is the 7th.
We're at 7 years.
But is this the 7th year?
2018 is when we started.
This did happen.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23,
Well, I got married in 2018.
24,
and this is
25. So this is the 7th
the
year.
7th.
So we have to make it through this year. No pressure, but y'all can't leave.
Yeah, no. This is now public. We're locking it in here.
Yes. And we have such a beautiful gift to share our Catholic faith with each other.
Yeah.
And to be able to share about our spiritual lives and to be able to support each other in prayer. Like we're asking for prayer intentions all the time and genuinely, I hope, praying for each other.
Yeah. And the beauty with social media, because sometimes social media, there are negatives to it, 100%.
Totally.
But this is a beautiful fruit. This is, I pray a lifelong friendship.
Yeah.
And to keep those. It's tempting to see only the negative of social media, but this has been one of the best positives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially another conversation we've had too is like as you get older and more into your adult life, those really close-knit friendships are harder and harder to form, at least in my experience. They just take longer to form.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of those close friendships came from childhood friends or college friends that you spent so much time with. So it is really special that we've been able to develop such a close friendship. And I think it's largely due to the commitment we do have to our relationship, to our monthly calls, to being active in the group chats, to checking in.
If someone has, and if anyone hasn't texted in a while, someone eventually texts up. It's been a couple days. Hey, how's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Everyone sends like a paragraph of how they're doing.
And it's true that takes time and commitment and effort. Like it takes time,
investment.
and investment, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going to be chatting about we called it what we talked about earlier, like pulling the curtain back on influencer life. So we're all just girl, right? But we also do share about our lives on social media, and the Lord has blessed our platforms, and we've all grown a pretty substantial following, and we share the different things that we're passionate with and serve women online. And there's a lot of goodness and beauty to that. And then there's also a lot of like confusion and misconception and hard stigmas, and also just like, hardships that come with being so open about your life and having influence and your faith life and being in kind of like the spotlight a little bit more. So we just want to share like a really candid perspective. Yeah.
Just the chat of the experience.
Exactly.
I mean, we were having it over breakfast, then we were like, okay, stop. Grab the mic. Like, because I feel like this is something people perceive one thing. Like I know I do it with some people I follow too. I perceive one thing about their life or what their reality must be like without knowing the full picture of it. And so like, hopefully this kind of gives you some insight to like a deeper level of understanding of what it is that we do and how it impacts us on a day-to-day basis and whatnot. Because we all, if you're listening to this, chances are you follow Mari or another one of us or all of us maybe even. And so it's like you connect with us already on that way. And so hopefully this just gives you a little bit more of our heart behind this, you know?
So
should we share like why each of us, I love that, started? I think it would be good to talk about like what was our heart in the beginning? Why did we start sharing things on Instagram? Because you also like, even though you didn't have
the intention,
the end goal in mind, you were sharing things for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Melissa. What about you?
Okay, so part of my conversion story was hearing the witness of other people's conversion and being so moved by that and being brought to God through their stories. And so I felt really convicted to share my story and to just share my life, because I didn't know, when I was growing up, I didn't know young Catholic people who were normal and cool, who were also dedicated to their faith and living their faith. Like I didn't have any examples of that. I didn't know that that was something that existed. So once I had my conversion, encountered Jesus, started meeting people who were full on like in love with the Lord, living a Catholic lifestyle, but would go to mass and then go out to happy hour and like were normal and cool and fun and dress really cute. And I was like, wait, you can do that? And so when AJ and I got married in 2018, it just felt really natural to start sharing about our marriage. And I switched my account. It was private before that. And so I made my account public, and I was like, let me just share our experience in our marriage, in our faith, the way that we pray together, because I had no idea how to do any of those things. And it would have been amazing if I was in college and had somebody to look up to. Like, how do I pray with someone? I have no idea. And that was often, especially in the beginning, a question that I got. How do you pray with your boyfriend or your fiance?
I get that question still all the time.
Yeah. So that was my intention in the beginning, was to share just my own life, my marriage, and my faith, to be an example to others. And then when I started working, which was also 2018 was when I went into private practice as a therapist. And my boss and mentor at the time was like, you need to be on social media. That's where her clients were coming from. And so she was the push, because I wanted to do it, but I was a little nervous. And AJ was like, I don't know, like, how I feel about you sharing our lives online at that point. And so she recommended, like, talk with him about the things that you want to share first, make sure he feels comfortable too, and then share if he feels comfortable. And so it was kind of work related, but more personal, but it led to work. And that's kind of how it's always been. And then just developed and grown. And I've had many midlife crises about social media since then.
We all have at this moment. Yes. Where do you feel like you're at now?
Now it's intentionally, I'm using social media for work, like to connect with my ideal clients.
Yes.
And to be able to serve beyond just my clients. So my clients primarily find me both for therapy and for Creighton services. They primarily find me through Instagram and YouTube too, which I haven't been active on for like 4 years, but they still find me on there too.
Yeah.
So my clients are actively finding me on there. And then now, just like the past year, I'm starting to look into how do I serve more than just the clients that I'm face to face with, because the capacity for that is capped. I can only see so many clients in a week.
Yes. Your time is limited.
Yeah. And raising kids and everything. So yeah, it's been interesting, but that's my goal with it now at this point, is connecting with clients, being able to serve them either one-on-one or like in some other capacity.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, Mari. For me, it was also very closely tied to my conversion or reversion. I grew up Catholic, but it was summer of 2018 where I feel like I had a super, super transformational summer. I was an intern with Focus for the first time, and my eyes were open to this Catholic world of young Catholics that were my age, that loved the Lord, that were really cool and normal people. The way I always described it was like people that I would have been super attracted to be friends with without even knowing that they were Catholic. And then that they were Catholic. And I was like, what? You exist?
Yeah.
I thought I was weird for like wanting to be like Catholic, you know? And so they really inspired me, and they basically discipled me all summer and inspired me to live a Christ-centered life. And they showed me that that's possible. And I was super inspired by that. And the Lord had always placed in my heart like a gift of leading others. And so I felt that summer, I was like, wow, like I want to do this for other women. I want to show other women this same experience that you can live a Christ-centered life in every part of your life and not sacrifice all the things that you love, but just grow in virtue and kind of just shed that worldliness and live into the daughter God actually has created you to be and find abundance and life there. And so that summer, some of the girls were like, oh, you should follow a couple girls on Instagram that are doing this. And at the time, there was only a few that were like really talking about like Catholic faith life and all this kind of stuff. And I just like felt the Lord kind of put it on my heart to do that as well. And I think when I started it, I had no idea what it would become. And I didn't necessarily like set out to be like, this is going to be my career. Yeah, no, I was just like, this would be super fun to like have a vlog. Like, no, it was just like truly from a place of like inspiration and like a creativity to like share about my faith and encourage others. And so, yeah, it was really always just from a place of like wanting to encourage. And I just shared about how I was living my faith life in college as a college girl and what my prayer was like. I was always very much like faith focused. and talking about prayer and everything. And then part of that was probably just like my formation with Focus those summers, and then becoming a missionary and having my actual job be like walking with people in their faith and literal prayer, which was, I mean, such a gift. We started every single day with the holy hour and mass. So yeah.
And then
That's how I started.
now with like not just that.
And yeah, you're right. Yes. And now I feel like I have allowed myself to kind of expand to share more of the things that I love in my life, and the way that so I just like launched my brand website and all that, and the way I kind of
It's
explained
beautiful.
it.
Thank you.
Look at it.
Thank you.
The way I kind of explained it is like, if I were friends with you in real life, like I would be sharing all these things that I love with you. We would be connecting on all these different levels that I'm passionate about, not just my faith life, but also marriage, also homemaking, also like my clean living journey that I've been like so into these past like 3 years, 4 years almost. And so I wanted to find a place for all of that in my Instagram as well. And I think that in doing so, my hopes is that I will be able to resonate even more with the viewer on the other side, because they have other interests besides their faith as well. And they are like, usually our followings are kind of grow up with us, right? And so like we were all in college when we started, and then we got married, and 2 of us are mothers. And so I feel like them growing with me, we kind of share those interests of like, oh, like what's that sourdough recipe you're using? I'm like, yeah, what laundry detergent do you use? And tell me about your marriage, and how are you bringing Christ into your marriage? And so being able to share different aspects of my life and how I'm bringing a Christ-like lens into each one of those aspects, to encourage others to do the same.
And now you're a full-time influencer.
Yeah.
Full-time content creator.
Yep.
Like that's what you're doing full-time, which is not,
Yeah.
that wasn't your original intention.
It was not.
But it's grown into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it just shows that God has amazing plans that we don't even know what they are. Faith-based. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. The reasons for all of us, I think in some capacity or another, was like, hey, my Catholic faith means a lot to me. And I want to share about it in a way that may be more inviting or more colorful or more whatever than anyone's heard of it in the past. And now everyone's doing that in some form for their career.
I feel like a lot of us have that same experience of not having an example of like a beautiful, holy lifestyle that's also normal and cool and fun. And so we've wanted to share that with people.
what about you, Meg? How did you tell us how you started?
Well, it's funny because I think people who don't know me, that will stumble on my page and will comment maybe negatively about it or judge or whatever. Will say things like, you're just doing this for the camera or whatever. And I'm like, you need to go back on my Facebook about 10 to 15 years ago when I was 10, 11, and recording stuff with the photo booth on my uploading it to my Facebook like I was a YouTuber at the time. Like this has always been something that I enjoy doing as a creative outlet. Same thing with writing. I had the diary since I was like 6 or 7 that I wrote in religiously. Always journaled. One of my favorite forms of like prayer or even like connecting with other people is through letters and journaling and writing. And so I've always loved creating with photo, video, and writing. And so I was like, well, now there's like an outlet for me to do that. Cool. And so I just kind of took to it and just literally no strategy, no goal really whatsoever. Just was going to have fun with it and share my heart and just
On your personal Instagram.
on my personal Instagram. Yeah. And we joked that I had numbers in my handle, for the longest time, and it was like my soccer jersey.
Yeah.
Until you got married, right?
Until I got married, like for too long of a time. And that was a huge part of it too. Like, hey, I'm a college athlete and I absolutely love what I'm doing. And I love being athletic and lifting heavy weights, but I'm also very feminine. And wait, oh my gosh, you can do both. You don't have to like pick a side. And you can go to mass every Sunday and still be a college athlete. And like there's so many different stereotypes I think I was breaking for myself.
Yeah.
And like realizing for myself that I was like, oh, that's cool. And just sharing it along the way. And then it just down here.
And people started following that. And I think that that's attractive. Like that confidence in it being able to break those stereotypes and live out all of those roles joyfully and beautifully is attractive to people.
And to be totally honest too, you mentioned confidence, but I think there was a big part of it at the beginning where I was like, I want to break this stereotype. I want to test the stereotype and see if it's true or not. So it was a little bit of fake it till you make it.
Yeah, it always is.
Like,
It always
let's
is.
write it out and see if this is legit. And then eventually it kind of evolved into full blown confidence, if it's successful or whatnot. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of like, okay, I will literally dancing in my kitchen on Instagram to people who literally don't know me. And that's the one.
And I think something I loved about the dancing in the kitchen days is that you were also talking about your faith and all these things, and then you were just like being silly and lighthearted and having fun.
Yes.
And I didn't see that. Like I thought either you were very Catholic and so you were like a really old holy grandma who just prayed the rosary every day and was like mean.
Yeah.
Or
No,
you were worldly. Like there was no option of like being fun and lighthearted and living in the world, but being devoted to God.
True.
I had no examples of that growing up.
Me either.
So to see you living it was like, yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why you attracted so many women, even when you weren't even trying to, because like we said earlier, it felt like the girl's girl that you want to be friends with, or that friend that you do have in your life. But then she's also Catholic, and she also is an athlete, and she also
Calling you to
is a
virtue.
mom. Yeah.
I mean, and then it really, like, I always say, like, Avery was my claim to fame. But, like, it really took off
people
when
love love.
it was a military relationship, and it's long distance.
Yeah.
We're young, and we're 20, and so it's, like, the college athlete and the Marine, and, like, this whole
The drama.
The drama, yeah.
Mhm.
And ever since then, like, anytime I share about marriage or motherhood, those are the top two things that like resonate the most with people. So I definitely think there's a bit of like unfolding that's happening where I'm understanding the audience and like considering them even and being thoughtful about what am I sharing and how can I give you value.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was just like showing up.
It's like a journal or like a
It
diary.
was honestly like a video journal. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What's your goal now? Because it's very different than the early days.
Well, my goal now is to, one, just continue to do what I did, like to somehow maintain what I've always done, which was just to document beautiful, a very like, used to be very visco-y, older like photos, if you or Tumblr, I guess. Saying even.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, presets and photography and beautiful photos. It's always been important to me. And then just like, I'm a romantic. And so I love like the aspect of reels where we can story tell a little more intimately now and we can put music with it, which just like so much better. Yeah. And so sharing about motherhood and marriage in those ways and birth transformed my life.
Yeah.
On my page, that's what you will see.
Yeah.
And then on the faith just intertwined and all of that and saying like, yeah, we're, 27 and we have 4 children, one of them with us. And like, we are still in the military and we don't know what life looks like. And the drama's starting to come back.
The drama. And there, if you're interested, it's still there.
Got it in the for 4 years.
That is so funny. Claire.
For us, it was very intentional going in.
I feel that.
And you started before any of us did.
Yeah.
2016.
It was like the Amber Filler of Catholic, I feel like. And subcapacity.
I love
I remember the braids even.
Yes.
Yeah, your braids.
Oh my gosh, the braid.
Hair tutorial.
You did hair tutorials?
Right? I was not for houses. You did. I remember you did.
But we started as a blog. Like blogging was huge for us. I always wanted a blog. And then after my son Peter was born, I was like, I feel so called to do this. And so I was praying, because my husband Mike and I would write love letters to one another, and all throughout our engagement, and I'd start praying, God, like, what's a beautiful love letter to us? And St. Francis de Sales, dear Philithea, who is the one who loves God. Philithea is the one who loves God. And I was like, what my page has to be, finding Philithea, finding the one who loves God, finding our true self.
That is beautiful.
It's carried full circle, especially since incorporating etiquette, because guess who the patron saint of etiquette is? The gentleman saint is St. Francis.
No. What?
The golden thread in my life has been
What?
I didn't know that.
I know. When I Googled that, I felt like the Holy Spirit has been
crazy.
so active.
Well, and the reason that's crazy is because that's a new aspect of your account.
Right.
Like, that's not what you started with.
Exactly. So wow. Oh, true. he's the golden thread in our story. So we started definitely beauty has been so transformative in my life. Beauty is so gentle, where goodness and abrasive.
Yes.
Beauty has saved me many times
Yes.
and led me to the faith, and I wanted to share that with others online with finding Philothea. So the beauty of family life, marriage, motherhood, suffering. My husband and I experienced secondary infertility, and we just sharing that story with people through the lens of suffering can bring joy when we fully submit it to Christ. And all just throughout the years, I think it's been 8 years now, just sharing that beauty. But within the past 3 or 4 years, I really felt the call, especially after COVID. I think just seeing the interactions people would have. And my dream since I was 15, when I first went to my etiquette class, first with Miss Judith.
She'd be so proud of you.
And the way she made me feel so loved, I remember her clearly because she just saw me. She taught me that dignity of the human person. Like, this is the heart of etiquette. It's showing that you are a gift to the world, and to receive that gift of others too. And when I entered the etiquette world, it was such a stark contrast in some areas of that, because it was all about appearance, looking good. And I'm like, no, I need the true self, Philothea, let's find our true self to give the one who loves God, and to incorporate that virtue and beauty within the world of etiquette is my mission now. And to share the heart of etiquette. So that's where I'm at now. I just finished my courses with it and am certified and ready to just spread that the truth about etiquette, because it's not just, I think people have the misconception it's walking with books on your head or the proper core, which there's goodness in those things. They're there for a reason, but it's really about encountering a person and leading that person to finding their true self and leading them to Christ.
It reminds me of the difference between doing good to try to become good or to try to appear good versus learning that you are good and acting good or doing good as a response to knowing that you're good, which are like such very different things. Are you just trying to achieve goodness, or like, do you know that you are good and therefore you should do good because that's who you were made to be?
I'm gonna need to do a therapy session.
That's really good. I'll never doing this with Mike. We read JP2 said, he wrote in a letter to Henry de Lubac, he's like, the greatest attack in our world today is the pulverization, the breakdown of the human person. And to build that up, I think social media can break people down in some ways if we allow it to, but there's also that building up if we allow it to. And that's the difference too. We going in with that mindset of let's give value to this. Let's share our stories. Let's share the beauty behind our faith. That is all helps with the building up of the human person.
Well, and I don't speak for everyone, but I feel like I can in some capacity say that we've all seen either firsthand in our lives, like in real life, or even through messages on Instagram, the ways in which our pages and our stories or our like the content or whatever has built up someone else's life.
Absolutely.
Or has made them feel less alone, or has brought them back to the church. I mean, the amount of, those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I get one like years later and I can scroll all the way back to our like 19 comments or whatever, or messages. And they're like, hey, I've been following you for this many years, and I just wanted to tell you this Easter I came back to, or I joined the church. I've just been like, your comment or content has been a huge part of that. And I'm like, how and why, and praise God. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I do think what I'm hearing from all of us sharing about how we started our pages is that genuine desire to serve other women. And whether that was like knowingly what we were doing or what has developed to, like, it's really not coming from a place of vanity or wanting attention or fame or, wanting to be in front of the camera, like people criticize us for sometimes. But it's truly like we have just such a heart for women in certain like corners, in certain topics. Like we have a heart to love women, to support women, to encourage women. And that is where I feel like social media can be used for such good.
And that's where people are. They're on social media. So let's bring the light to it. I think
Yeah.
this is what was available to him.
Oh, yeah.
The
True.
And we have to do the same thing with proclaiming the gospel. We have to use the tools, and social media is a tool for us to use.
No,
And so to use that like for the good too.
I so agree. I love what you said about like bringing light. I feel like that's how I think about it a lot, like hoping to bring light to people's scrolling and to people's feed to kind of disrupt the maybe negative that they are seeing or whatever cycle of toxicity that they feel like they are stuck in, but like maybe coming across a post that brings lightness and beauty and faith and lead them to Christ.
Yeah.
And we do fail. We aren't perfect with this, but there's a grace with that too, because we learn from those failures. We're people to, I love how you started this with, we're just girls.
Yeah.
We want to be,
Yeah.
there's also a human element to us for sure.
Yeah.
And to always remember that too, when you're scrolling, and you have to remind ourselves of that too, that these are
Real
souls that
people,
are trying to
real
see
people.
Christ too.
And I think if you were to meet any one of us in person, there would not be very much discrepancy of what you see on the screen to in person. Like we're all very genuine and authentic.
I think that's been one of my least favorite things about growing, which is funny to say, but like when it first started, that was so easy and well, first of all, I didn't have kids and no husband, but it was so easy to be like, oh my gosh, this person's messaging me and they're a real person living in a totally different state from me with their own hurts or struggles or experiences in life, and I can totally devote full attention to them and be friends. And I think one of my least favorite things about growing, and I don't want to say with certain naughty kids because there's nothing horrible about that, but like time constraint wise, capacity wise, it's like I literally lose messages and I'm always like, I wish there was a way to like catch all or to like be available to all. And it's like totally not realistic at all. But
but I remember you saying that at the beginning and like loving that part of it. And I remember you saying often in stories and stuff, like, I respond to every message and I go there with you.
Yeah.
Like engage and I'm there for you. And it's, at some point, like, it's not
Reasonable.
not reasonable anymore. But it's beautiful that like your heart is to walk with people in an intimate way. And I think you've just shifted what that looks like based on the capacity that you have because your family comes first.
Yeah. No, totally.
With birth mentorship and your guides and things like that. Like you still want to
I'm trying to fill the holes that I can't personally.
Totally.
But there's definitely something to be said for. I mean, I literally last week had someone message me saying, hey, could you give like a prayer request? I'm sure you guys get these all the time too.
Yeah.
My grandma's passing away. And I was like, absolutely sending up a Hail Mary right now.
Yes.
So I was like cooking dinner. I was like, okay.
I always do that.
And I immediately did it because I know if I say that,
Yes.
So I immediately did it. And then a couple days later, she messaged again and said, hey, my grandma passed on Ash Wednesday. And it's interesting to go into Lent, like grieving my grandma and peaceful. And she was like, your prayers meant a lot. And to know that you responded meant a lot. You've always responded. And then I realized she has messaged me since like 2019. And it's like a short blip of a response, but I'm like, wow, that like actually impacts someone when the other person acknowledges the dignity of them behind the screen.
Yeah.
Especially in times of literally her grandma passing. Like that to even be asked to pray for them is like, like, wow, thank you to even consider me for that.
I feel we should talk about some of like the stigma.
Because the reality is that social media also has, some toxic elements to it. And I think our generations are realizing that more and more. And so there's more and more opinions and maybe like stigmas or stereotypes that people attach to influencers, content creators, and even just around the experience of social media and how much that has changed. And obviously, I feel like we have been creating content throughout those shifts and throughout social media evolving. Instagram has changed so much now than what it used to be. Let's just talk about what are some of the misconceptions that we feel like people have about influencers or about our lives versus what they see on camera, or what are some of the experiences that we've had in interacting with people on the other side that you're like, oh man, That's just not true.
I don't think people can comprehend that we can sit here and say we genuinely have a heart to serve people while simultaneously making an income in some capacity. Like, I think people are like, it's one or the other. Like, that couldn't possibly be a true statement. And that sucks. Because why does someone go to veterinary school? Because they love animals. They make a living off of serving and loving animals. Like,
Or a teacher or a doctor or
Any helping,
for
serving
some-
profession.
yeah, for some reason that like gets separated or segregated in the social media influencer world.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I was just going to say, I think especially what I've experienced is when you add the faith element to it, a lot of the times there is some pushback there because people assume or expect everything to be done from a place of
Complete
just charity.
Ministry.
Yeah, ministry. Well, and even ministries, like there are ministries that are compensated for, right? But in people's mind, like if you're attaching the faith to it,
It's like
you
volunteer
shouldn't.
work.
Yeah, like you should be volunteering. You should be doing everything for free. Nothing should be paid for. And my training with Focus really gave me formation and confidence to know that people that are ministering deserve to be compensated for. And like we went through all this training in scripture and everything of how like
the cardinal sin to not pay someone a fair wage.
yes. And like even the apostles like were paid. They had sponsors that would like help them with their food and their lodging and their necessities. And they couldn't have done the mission that they did without people supporting them in that way. And the same for us. I mean, like if we didn't make an income for a family through what we're doing, we would have full-time jobs outside of what we do. Exactly.
It reminds me what you were just saying about the stigma about like if you're earning money from being an influencer, from being a content creator, then it becomes like tainted somehow. It reminds me of the way that people talk about NFP too, because I've gotten that often over the years.
Like that you should be teaching for free.
Yeah, basically. Like this is part of the church. So why are you charging? Like
I've heard that a
everyone
lot
should have
too,
access to this information, which I agree with. And I couldn't sit face to face with clients for hours and hours and teach them one-on-one and be away from my family if I wasn't being paid for it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. There's other ways, like you could read a book, you could take a class online. There is NFP available for every budget. You don't have to invest what you would invest in one-on-one education with me. But for me to be able to do it, I have to be paid for my work. And I feel like social media is the same if you're using it like you're doing full time more than any of the rest of us, I feel. Maybe Claire, you too, but like I am seeing clients and doing social media and you're doing photography and like we're all doing other things and you have West Coast Catholic, but now you're working on Mari C. Wagner.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you're devoting all of this time, like your life, your work to this brand and to serving people and you're working really hard. So why shouldn't you be compensated for that?
Right.
And so I think the same is true with influencers that people choose to follow. Everyone who's following has to use discernment. Like, do I get value from this? Is this something that's like edifying for me that I'm learning from, I'm growing from, I'm becoming a better person from? And naturally, the people that I'm following should be someone that like, if you're offering something, I want it.
I'm interested.
Not that I need to buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm only following you because I'm interested in learning from you in some capacity. So it makes sense.
Right. Because not everyone's for you and not everything's for you. And I think it's okay to just be like, just not for me.
Yeah. I think that reminds me of, in a similar vein, but slightly different topic, reminds me of just another challenge that we face all being in our faith is representing the church and having weight and influence within the area of faith. I think a struggle there is that there is a temptation maybe for the audience or the viewers to look at what we say and what we share about and what we do as church teaching.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll just say here, like, seems like most of us in our lives, like we follow church teaching. We agree with like the true teachings of the Catholic Church. So it's very unlikely that you'll see something that is not church teaching. But at the same time, it's unhealthy for us to view other Catholics online as like the Pope. You know what I mean? Or as like
we're human.
yes.
And listen to verbatim what the Pope says unless he says it ex cathedra.
Like, exactly. And so I think that that's a struggle too, because it does take another level of responsibility on our end to know that what we are sharing has weight to it and will impact how people see the faith, how it should be practiced. And there's a lot of beauty to that, but there's also a lot of weight to that. And so I think what I would love from the audience as well is to just have that discernment of like, if something doesn't sit right with me, can I take that to the Lord, read the catechism, do some of the research on my own on like what the church teaches, and come to my own conclusions instead of just blindly following someone else who might be living a beautiful Catholic life, but also having autonomy in your own faith life to take responsibility for your own actions.
That's making me think even a challenge for followers in our community is for them, their comments carry weight too. And other people are looking at comments that they're writing underneath.
Yes.
So
True.
for them to remember their role is evangelizer to all of our roles. So their comments carry weight. Like there's people looking at maybe discerning the faith who are seeing infighting within the church. And it's, yes, there is room for debate and reason. However, everyone comments carry weight, not just ours. It's theirs too.
And I always imagine like, maybe this is just me being very idealistic and romantic, but I'm like, in my head, like my Instagram page is like my virtual home, and like that should be a safe place. And if you had an issue with me in my home, I would love if you, like, I would expect you, and I would expect myself to do the same, to pull you aside and to do that privately. And if you were harassing someone in my home
Or attacking you in your home,
you would be asked to leave.
yes.
And I'm like, I think the same general house rules and like consistency rules should apply. Like they don't just poof out of thin air because it's now virtual on a keyboard. I don't know.
I think another difficulty and a challenge has been when people do say negative things, it's easy to like curl up. But honestly, it's toughened me up a lot.
Yeah.
And it helped me grow stronger in the confidence of what I'm doing and hopefully evangelizing. However, it still
Stings.
it hurt.
Yeah.
It does hurt. There's words I didn't even know existed that I've been called, So it's been challenging in those ways, but also there's a beauty to a strengthening.
Well, that was kind of interesting with the friend group that I have locally in Alabama. That's the closest like local friend group I've had probably in my life. A lot of them will comment on like how you just really don't care what other people think. Like you're just very convicted. And I honestly credit the last like 4 years of social media. I don't want to say harassment because that sounds extreme.
No,
it's true. I think that
Megan, you out of all of us, I feel like has
really
received
actual harassment.
Yes, the most negative and aggressive and
violent,
scary,
like very violent.
Yeah, hate.
And I like as crap as that stuff is to receive, or as like disheartening, or like it honestly just kind of gives you whiplash because you're like, wait, it was possible for someone to be that horrible
when they don't even know you.
Right.
I'm just like, if you like meet someone that you're like, wow, I really disagree with their lifestyle in person, you likely aren't going to like yell their ear off about how horrible they are and all this stuff. You're just going to be like, probably not going to be friends with that person and move on with your life. But like people really feel the need to tell you why they hate you.
all the time.
I'm like, I don't even understand why, but
That's fine.
I'm biased because I'm your friend.
Yeah, you like what I'm saying.
Yeah, what?
But that did like it created like, okay, is what they're saying true? Most of the time, no. But then it like, okay, yeah, I'm convicted even more. It convicts me more. And then it also just builds up a confidence in myself where it's like, I'm not doing this for the validation of others, because actually 50% of the time for me, it's like not validated by the general public anyways. And that's very freeing. And that wouldn't happen if like people were just like, we love you so much. 24/7.
Universe, all
And points to more that like this is something that you feel called to do.
Yes.
Not based on purely the response of others.
Right.
Like it feels
Just keep
great
going.
to be affirmed and to be told like what you're doing is so good and encouraging.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. But you're not doing it for that reason.
Mhm.
You're doing it because it's
But that means same for
calling.
any of y'all. It is not as aggressive most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
It's
get,
good.
Yeah.
you
I
get
love
the
that
hate.
for you guys.
I'll take you.
And I think this is something that I've just noticed and want to just share too. And I've shared this with my like friends in real life as well. I've been in situations in girl groups where people like follow similar people, like influencers. And so they'll tend to like gossip or talk about or talk badly about the people
Oh,
that they're
crap.
following together. And like, did you see this? And did you see this? And like, oh my gosh, I hate when she does this. And there's been times where I've actually like felt like the need to stop the group and be like, you guys, like,
Yeah.
I would say like, there's probably a girl group right now somewhere in the country talking crap about me, right? And you know me and you're my friend and you know my heart and you know how genuine I am and how I want to serve. And that, sure, that might not be the place everybody's coming from. Like, you know me. And if you heard girls talking like that about me, you'd be so mad and you'd be so hurt and you'd be like, you don't know her. Like, why would you say that about her? I'm like, you don't know these women online. You don't know the full story, their full heart. And if there's something that they do that you don't like, why does that give us the right to like totally break them down and criticize them? Like when you don't know these people. And so yeah, I would just say like just to remember that like the people on the other side of the camera, whether it's us or anybody else you follow on Instagram or on social media, they and I sound like Hannah Montana, right? But like they are just like you. Isn't that a song? You're just like
No,
that's a song.
That's a Barbie song.
No, there's a Hannah Montana song. I'm just like you. You guys didn't watch Hannah Montana?
No,
I did, but I
Barbie.
don't remember the song.
Oh, we're gonna play it later. We're gonna play it.
We're how accountable for whether we know the person or not with gossip. You know,
Casey and I always say on our podcast that there's like 3 different friends. They either talk about people, things, or ideas.
wow.
And you want the friends that talk about ideas and that like conceptualize things and dream with you. And that's what all of you ladies do. I'm not looking for the friends that talk about people. Like I did that in college. It's not life giving. It actually feels really nasty afterwards.
It does.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Our priest, Stephen, side note a little bit, said that he thinks gossip is like the feminine version wise to like pornography.
I remember hearing that on your podcast.
Because it literally just like strips away the dignity of another person. It's very like when
That's a great
comparison. Like holy crap.
It's addictive.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it could also be like, I mean, that's just girl talk. Like that's just what we do. We just talk.
Or it'll be like, oh, it's just venting.
Yeah, it's just venting.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Or when you don't know the person, it's
It's
that's
fine.
another.
Yeah. If you don't know the
It's
person,
another thing because you don't know them.
or somehow that because they're sharing their life publicly, you now have the free range to gossip about them because they're like, well, they decided to share that, so now I can talk about it.
I think it's also something that's really important to talk about because, like I said, I didn't grow up with any examples of like how to live a Catholic life. So the idea that gossip was bad, like, didn't occur to me. And that was such a culture, like with certain family members, with certain friends, like that's what you bond over is like talking about what's going on with other people. And it didn't really like, I couldn't have named at the time, but it felt negative. It didn't feel positive, but I also didn't register like this is something I should avoid until literally I went to church not that long ago. Like I was maybe in grad school.
Yeah.
So 2016. And the whole talk that night for the young adult group was on gossiping versus venting and how do you share frustration in a way that's healthy but not sinful. And that was
You were like,
the
wait,
first-
what?
and I feel like that's been everything in my life. Like everything that's led me closer to God is like my eyes were so blinded, and my heart was so hardened that maybe somebody said something, but I was just not open to it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as like I was soft enough and receptive enough to hear the truth, and I'm like, you're like, wait, okay, I know. I'm like, and that night I had spent the entire car ride an hour driving to the church gossiping to my friend on the way there. And then I sat there for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry. And she was like, yeah, I didn't really like the conversation, but like I didn't know what to say.
Oh
And I was like,
wow.
you told me to stop.
Yeah.
But that was
so hard. That's also hard to do in person. Like it is hard to be the one to stop in the group and be like, hey, we need to shift the conversation.
Yeah. But it's so good. Anyway, that's like a tangent. But yeah,
support.
It's nice. And I think didn't you have a viral reel about gossip?
You did. Yeah.
Offended.
Because people were pro gossip in your comments.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked. Because I just thought, even in the world, even not from a faith standpoint of gossip being a sin, I thought morally, like, like gossip is hurtful.
Right. But I think that's such a gift too of like what we're all trying to do with social media, that you're trying to share these messages that bring people closer to God.
Yes.
And if nobody shares the messages, nobody knows. Like I would literally
no.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't like, I don't care. I'm just gonna sin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As soon as I heard truth, I was like, okay, I'm convicted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I change.
Yeah.
Okay, I think one thing people would be genuinely interested to learn more about is a little bit more about the behind the scenes of our work. They see what's on their side of the screen, but what happens all the way leading up to that getting posted, like what does our day-to-day look like? What does our work process look like? What does it look like on the back end to create content?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone uses it for a little bit different purposes in some ways. Like a lot of mine lean more heavily photography. Like even when I've reached out to brands saying like, hey, we really resonate with your products, like we'd love to work with you. Sometimes they'll be like, your feed great, but like actually we want to use your photography. And I'm like, I don't know. And so a lot of times what will happen is I was actually having this conversation with a local girlfriend the other day because she was like, I love what you do, but I don't understand what you do. Like, what does that mean? Yeah, like do what you do. And so I was trying to like break it down for her. And I was like, well, businesses will send me products that they want photographed. I photograph, I deliver the deliverable, then I edit and everything. And it's a lot of fun. It's been a good transition for me to go from travel wedding photographer to still doing photography, but at home on a month-long flexible schedule instead of a specific weekend away from the kids and hours and hours and hours behind the screen editing 3,000 wedding photos.
And for you as a mom of 3, do you do that when they're napping? Do you do that when Avery's home? How do you manage your schedule?
That's a good question. So originally I was like, oh yeah, you can do it all, right? Because that's what everyone tells you. No, you can't. You like something will give. Now that I sleep through the middle of the night, I'll wake up at 5:30 and I'll do, prayer, my supplements, and then I start working. And then I'll make breakfast and all that. I also will typically work during nap time for a little bit. Carrie gets quiet time. The 2 babies still nap. So I'll get roughly an hour if everybody naps well, sometimes 2. And then evenings, I get into good seasons where I don't work in the evenings unless it's like a podcast recording. But lately I've been working in the evenings and I don't like that because I think most people have a 9 to 5 and when they come home, they're home.
Yeah.
And that's probably a hard thing about like our work. It's always available to us. We're always at home. It's always available to us and we're always on it. Like, we're always streaming. We're always like, oh, if I could get that done, then I can get this.
But it does take the intentional like effort to shift your mind from like, okay, I'm going to be working at home to I'm going to be resting at home or I'm going to be like doing housework or hosting or just like turning off the work mind.
Like when my husband comes home from work, I want to also be
home from work.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then I hired.
It's harder when your husband also works and you have to force each other to leave work and home. You know what I mean?
But then I hired a sitter and I have set hours during the week. It's 2 hours at a time almost every other day. So I have 6 hours a week typically, and sometimes a little more or less. I can probably do more, but I'm at a point right now where I don't want to leave them any more than I do. And so I'm like, this is where I'm at and it's comfortable. And that's how I do it.
That's when you do the photography, like planning reels,
edit the photos,
Yeah.
shoot the content. Sometimes if Avery's home, that's when I reply to all the email collaborations. That's when I edit.
That's a lot to fit into
Podcast, graphics,
6 hours.
Responded DMs.
No, literally respond to DMs, plan out content, make sure. And even still, there's like sometimes I will include like life stuff in those, like schedule a grocery pickup or like
run a load of laundry.
A kid's thing or whatever. I know I could definitely use more, but it's that balance between like I do this work so that I can be flexible and free for my family. So at what point do I have to say no more?
Right.
So that I can still maintain like the peace and the freedom for my family.
And serve your family.
Right. Like that's the whole point I'm doing this.
Yes.
So it's hard when the sky's kind of the limit for any of us. Like
that's
love it.
That's entrepreneurship. That's the heart of
we love
entrepreneurship.
But also we're wives, we're moms. Like
It's hard.
The point of why we do what we do is to get to live life a little more freely. And sometimes we reverse that to our own detriment. Because it's like, why not? So
Something that's helped me a lot is that I have a Google Doc, and my best weeks are when I plan out the
whole month.
content.
Yeah.
And then I know exactly the shots I want to get. And but that's helped me a lot is planning. And it it's hard, especially I homeschool and motherhood too. But
So when do you do that stuff? When do you work on that?
I don't have a set schedule, and it's been interesting because seasons are always changing, and I think that's where I need to grow is like schedule this time, almost like block schedule
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's hard when seasons are always changing in motherhood and marriage, but I can do my part too. But I feel filming doesn't take long. It's the editing for me. I love editing. That takes a while, but to be able to close the phone and set it aside too is
be still.
Yeah.
And like finding that balance, I feel like just comes with time. But what's that look like for y'all?
Yeah, Mari, like full-time content creator, what does it look like?
Yeah, full time. I would say like I don't keep track of the hours that I work, but I think I do fluctuate between like full time and part time, and it just depends on the weeks that I'm on and what like things are happening. And so I'm very grateful for the work that we have because it allows us a lot of flexibility to do other things besides work during the day. Like I was telling the girls, I went to go get a pedicure in the middle of the week, or if I want to grab coffee with a friend, at 10 a.m., I can say yes, but we do have like a lot of work. We have West Coast Catholic. This is a whole business to run and had a team to manage, as well as my side, the Mari Wagner brand, and my personal blog also has its own responsibilities, and we're allocated to that side as well. And so the challenge for us is as entrepreneurs, I mean, like you can work 24/7 or you have control over what you do. And so yeah, which is awesome and horrible. And I think right now in the season that we're in, not being parents yet, it's really easy to just fall back on work often because we're like, well, we have the flexibility and the freedom and the desire. So like, why not add it on? But for me, a typical work day, will look like Mondays and Fridays. We have team meetings at 8:30 a.m. And Trey and I will usually be in both of those. Monday is like a kind of like a week-long check-in, like looking at the week, what are big priorities, where are we at, big announcements that are coming up, some strategy. Friday we do spiritual formations, which I lead, which is basically discipleship for the team. And then Trey now has moved into a role where he's taking care more of West Coast Catholic and managing the team. And that's allowed me freedom to embark on my own ideas for my own brand. I won't give you the whole hour, but I like to take time for myself in the morning to get ready, to eat a good breakfast, and to pray. It just kind of depends on the week, whether we like break it up and we have to like we just did all these home projects. And so a lot of that was like, okay, we're going to work till 3. And then we have a meeting at the countertops place at 3. And then we're there looking at countertops from 3 to 4. And then we got to go to the paint store to paint the swatch. And then we go home. Oh, but I didn't get to post today. So I'm going to like take another hour to get my post ready and put up my stories and whatnot. So it does look like pretty flexible throughout the day. But I would say I do lean a little bit more like your traditional full-time schedule.
Yeah.
What about you?
What does it look like for you? Because you're lead in the sense of like it's not just
It's client.
it's client. Yeah. No, it'd be more than any of ours.
It's hard. It's hard for me to navigate. It's been like an interesting journey, but I think in the beginning it was more like whenever I have inspiration, and I had more inspirations because I had more time, especially before having kids. Like my schedule looked like clients throughout the day. I was very flexible with my client schedule. Before kids, my client hours were 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. just whenever people wanted. After having kids, I couldn't live like that anymore. I see about 19 clients a week. And so those hours are very structured and intentional. Clients either when AJ, my husband, is home with the kids, or when my mom is over helping with the kids, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. And so I have those 19 hours. They're always the same. Those are my only client hours. What I don't have work blocked off for is social media. And yet social media is like the way that my business runs. So that's hard. And I constantly am just talking to myself and like processing and discerning. I want to do so much. I have so many dreams and so many ideas, and my brain never stops. But my whole goal, like you were saying, Meg, is to be home with my kids. So it doesn't make sense for me to like hire more help to then go sit at my computer when like the whole reason I'm doing any of it is to be with them.
Right.
So most of the time I'm doing anything social media wise, either in the 1 hour I have when the kids are napping and on like downtime, which is at 2 to 3 p.m. every day. So same, they're very consistent, which I'm grateful for. And
You were saying not to put that out there, so eventually they were consistent.
oh no, they are actually. Yeah. Winnie naps 2 to 3 p.m. Orly's chilling, and I have an hour during that time. And then in the evenings, which it's okay. I would say it's not like ideal schedule, but
Sometimes it's what works.
It's what works in the season. So usually like the kids go to bed by 8:30, and then I'll be working from like 8:30 to 11:30.
But to go to bed.
I think that's the challenge.
I'm like, I have a lot of nights like that too.
No,
Launch week, catch us till
And
midnight, 1 a.m.
And like ideally, I would say that would be like a beautiful time to be like just me and my husband hanging out. But he's watching games, so he'll watch a game and I'll sit and like work next to him.
Yeah.
And we have time to catch up and everything, and we'll have dinner together and spend time together on the weekends. I don't work on the weekends, but it's hard that I don't have like specific set aside time for that because I'm constantly thinking throughout the day. Like I want to share something so that I can engage with people and continue the conversation and support people and let people know that I have client openings and things like that.
It's hard with
It's
mother.
hard.
There is that constant, like, I have to be a mother. That's my first role.
Yep.
And so that's where, for me, it's like, that will always come first because I'm doing this for them too, you know, like this growing. So just, we do it when we can too.
Yeah.
There's days where we're just like.
And filming stuff, I would say more often I'll film on the weekends.
Yes.
Because then I have time and I'll prepare stuff that I want to post during the week. Because then I have time to get myself ready, to think about what do I want to share. AJ's home with the kids, so I can step away and film something, or he can help me film something. So that's like practically usually when that happens.
well, it's hard too because when you like look at it outwardly, you're like, oh, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to be doing. But how is it even possible
To just be like, this is it. Like this was and that doesn't work without the new goal.
without the new goal, without the like next thing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, a part of me wants to for sure learn to rest in it a little bit more. Or a little more grateful for it. But I'm also like,
You just have an
this
idea.
can't just be it. You know? Like I think it'll grow. It's like
all of us naturally have ideas constantly. And we have to contain ourselves, right? Like you were saying.
I mean, we're creators, you guys. That's just it is. Like we're creators.
like I think your problem.
Yeah, I'm like, what's the problem? That's amazing. And I just feel like that is just like a gift in us, right? That like really mirrors our creator. Like God gave us that gift to see beauty, to want to create it, to want to like bring it to others.
JP too, so we almost God, like when we create, whether that's like garden, that's a new life, you know?
Well,
Like, so I just
100%.
see it as a gift. And praise God, we have these ideas, you know, to always go. But to find about the healthy balance, to be with the people
that are in front of us. And I think about that too. Like this baby's born in June and my kids are little, but I plan on homeschooling. And so
like, what is
thinking about like, I don't want to stop. I love what I'm doing, both with clients and online. And it's just going to have to shift and change over time. And I'm constantly discerning, what does that look like? Where is my time best used work-wise so that it can all be for the good of my family?
The beauty is that we're not stuck either. Like we're in a bit more of control than I think the normal person is when it comes to work.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing too with that is it's all on you.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is nice to know like, okay, well, we could ebb and flow if we need to. Like we can be flexible. We can. And I think that's what was really attractive to me at the very beginning of all of this was just that freedom and control of my own time and our family's time.
Yeah.
And the peace that comes with that.
As we wrap up, I just want to touch on one last thing. And I think it's this term influencer that has developed over the years. And thinking back, like this should have been question one. There's a lot of emotions attached to this word influencer.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about this term being one and what your experience has been around it.
Yeah, I was sharing earlier that I wrestle with the term, both influencer and content creator. And I would say, like, if I stop and think about it, I would say, yes, I am and do both of those things. Because even thinking back to my original goals, like my original goals when I first made my account public was to be a witness to a faithful, holy life in a way that's accessible to everyone. And that is
having influence. Yeah.
I feel like that term wasn't yet like really a thing, but that is what my goal was, that to have influence in a positive way, to show people that you can live this way and it's good, and you can do it too, because I wanted that example myself. I wanted to be influenced in a positive way. So I think the term has just gotten like really bad over the years. And so I feel hesitation with it. I wrestle with it, but I would still, like, if I stop to think about it, say, yes. And I want that. I want to have a positive influence on people.
Yeah.
Not to make them feel like they need to do something different other than like be exactly who God calls them to be.
Yeah.
But to have positive influence, which I think is important that everyone knows. Like, everyone has influence.
Yeah.
It just looks different. The way that we're
sharing
things online might look different than the way that another person is influencing another. But we all have influence. And I think it's important to think about, like, how do we influence others? And what are we influencing? And
I'm reading a book on leadership right now, and he makes the point that you're a leader, you know, like, in the influence you have, then how far you can go as a leader is the influence you have on people, but that doesn't equate popularity. So he makes the point where you could have a lot of followers, but that's popularity. True leadership is your influence on people. And to make it good, we all have that to some capacity, but to be leaders, to have that leadership mindset for the good.
Yeah.
And we all can do that. And anyone listening can do that. Just because someone has a lot of numbers, you know, that's not true leadership. True leadership is the virtue, the integrity, the leading to people.
No, I think about some of my favorite people and the influence they have on my life. And it has literally nothing to do with any social media following.
Mm-hmm. I think another reason why the term influencer gets a bad rap is because it's like worldly influencer, your very typical influencer, can look very inward focused. And so sometimes I'll use the term content creator more than influencer because I think other people might have negative connotations with the word influencer. And content creator, I feel like resonates with me a lot because, that's what I'm doing. Like, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm creating content. I'm a creator. I'm like bringing beauty and creating things digitally to serve my audience. But at the same time, I genuinely don't think there should be an immediate negative connotation.
No, literally. And what would happen if we just embraced it?
Right?
You know what I mean?
Well, and as with everything, especially as a Christian and as a Catholic, we have to be good stewards of the gifts that we're given.
Yes.
And so if we have influence over people, what does it look like to be a good steward of the fact that we do have influence?
Yes.
And in people's lives.
And I can't hide it under the basket and push it away either. You know what I mean? Like, that's a gift God gave you. He's gonna be a little ticked off if you're like, no, kind of uncomfortable with that.
Have you guys heard of the Clifton Strengths Test?
No. What? No.
Like the Gallup Strengths Test?
Okay.
Gallup. Yeah. I think it used to be called Clifton Strengths and now they're called Gallup, but they have a whole strengths test. It is the best test that I've ever taken. I think it's very accurate.
I love those. Yeah.
It's very, very good. And it's about strengths. It's not like personality. It's like truly like, what are your strengths? And there's, I think, 50 of them or so. And then after they tell you what your top ones are, they have categories that they all fall into. One of those categories is influencing.
Were you at the top of that?
I think the 4 out of my 5 top were all under influencing.
That's so.
And I read that and I was like, wow. Like, I'm in the role God created me to be, and that's not something to be ashamed of, right? That's not something to be like, wow, this is like something I need to hide. But like, God gave me those strengths. And I remember as a kid, like, one of the things I had to grow in was being bossy. And my mom has to teach me like, hey, like this gift of leadership has to be harnessed in a way for good and not to be bossy, not to tell others what to do, but to like bring influence in a good way and to help, honestly, like, which I feel like I love doing now, like bring the best out of other.
The other thing I just thought of too was that when we get too worried about like what people are going to associate with influencer or like what they might think when we tell them what we do for work or whatever, that in and of itself is not charity, that's vanity. Because you're literally focusing inward on what other people are going to say or think or assume or conceive about like you and what it is that you do. And when my spiritual director said that, I was like, are you kidding? Because I literally felt like it was vanity to say, hey, I'm an influencer. He was like, no, you were spending
That
so
is
much
what it
time
is.
being
Yeah.
worried about what people are going to think about you if you say that you were an influencer.
Right. Yeah. And I think our confidence and how we carry ourselves and how we share about what we do goes a long way. And if you share it timidly or awkwardly or nervously, there's going to be a message that is like hiddenly portrayed of like, I am ashamed of what I do, or I know this is uncomfortable, or this is weird, or like, but if you just like genuinely share with joy and confidence of like, yeah, this is what I get to do.
I love the influencing life.
Yeah. I do too.
It's
Yeah.
fun and it's beautiful. Yes. And it's a place that we can all grow in virtue, all of us.
Always. For sure. Always.
And even this conversation is so helpful to me because
I
like to think back to what was the whole intention and it's so easy for me to lose it in like day-to-day life, the busyness of work and kids and get something posted. Like it's easy for me to lose that. So it's so helpful to think back of like, what is the purpose of this role and this part of my work and how can I be a good steward of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, ladies, for sharing your heart and just like being here and being open about what you do. Thanks for having us. We'll have to make this a yearly thing, right?
Yeah. Girls trip. Girl trip. The next one will be live on a beat.
Yeah, I am dying to take everybody to Mexico, but that's just me. That's what I do. So, bye.
Bye.